Hey, what's up guys? This is Chef Tyler from GetnHealthie. Today we're going to be making a chicken poke bowl with a ponzu sauce. Let's get cooking. I typically like to start off with the item that I can leave alone while everything else is cooking. So I'm going to pour in 1.5 cups of brown rice into a pan, along with some star anise, a half a stick of cinnamon, and a bay leaf. I also had some black cardamom lying around in the cabinet, but this is harder to find and it's totally optional. With all of that in the pan, let's add our water and cover it with a lid and cook it over low heat until all the water is absorbed. While the rice is cooking, I'm adding some vegetable oil into a pan over high heat to saute some diced red onion and some cubed chicken breast. Before the chicken cooks too much, I'm going to season with some fresh ground pepper. This is typically where I'd also add some salt, but our ponzu sauce is going to be salty enough from the soy. Speaking of the ponzu sauce, I'm using a half a cup of low sodium soy sauce and the juice of 2 limes and a large orange. I'm also going to mix in a few teaspoons of rice vinegar and some sriracha for a little extra kick. Lastly, this needs a little cornstarch to improve the texture and give the sauce a glossy finish. The sauce is ready to go, so let's check on the chicken. The onions are translucent and the chicken is white and probably mostly cooked in the middle. I'm going to pour the ponzu sauce we made right over, give it a mix, then reduce the heat to low and let it simmer while I cut up some fresh veggies. I have some scallions here. One of the most frustrating things about cutting scallions is sometimes your knife doesn't go all the way through and you end up with a long string of half-cut onion. To prevent this, make sure 1, your knife is really sharp, and 2, that you're sliding your knife back and forth and not just moving it up and down through the scallion. I'm also slicing some cucumber. I'll be adding some jalapeno into my poke bowl, and cucumber adds a little bit of a cooling effect to counteract the spice. I also typically use English cucumber for this, but my local grocery store was out, so this variety will work just fine. Next is one of my favorite items to add to a poke bowl, radishes. I simply cut them in half and then slice them in the large wedges. Now for the jalapeno I promised. And yes, I am just slicing these. I personally like the extra spice and flavor that I get when including the seeds and membrane. If you're not in the spice, you can always just remove these parts or use a sweeter pepper. Lastly, I'm dicing up some avocado. This is going to give my poke bowl a little bit of a creamy texture. Also, the addition of the healthy fats are going to help keep you more full in between meals. Something I like to do when I'm meal prepping with avocado is toss it with a little bit of lemon or lime juice to keep it from oxidizing and turning brown. This will help keep them looking fresh for days after they're cut. Now taking a look at the chicken, the sauce looks perfect. It's thickened up and is sticking to the chicken and onion very nicely. With the heat off, I'm going to mix in the scallions and then check on the rice. One of the methods that I use to tell that the rice is cooked is to slightly tip the pan on the side. If you don't see any water, then it's likely that the rice is done. Now I want to remove the aromatics and mix in our final ingredients. I like to finish my rice from my poke bowl by adding a little bit of rice vinegar and a 1/4 teaspoon of sugar. Now that everything is done and ready to go, we can portion this up for the week. Unfortunately, there are quite a few elements to this. It may take a few minutes to portion, but it's totally worth to have this meal ready to go. I actually prefer to eat this chilled or at room temperature. If you'd like it heated, I would avoid getting it too hot as it will cook some of the fresh and raw items. Thank you all so much for watching. Check out the blog post in the description for the full recipe. If you liked the video and like the content, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell to receive notifications for future videos.